Listen carefully, because before Allah gives you something big, He whispers it through subtle signs. Not everyone sees them, but if you do, your entire life is about to change. You've been patient, you've been praying, you've been quietly surviving storms that no one even noticed, but now something feels different. It's like the air around you is shifting and you're wondering, is Allah about to give me what I've been waiting for? Actually, everything is falling apart. You try to hang on, but nothing stays. People you thought would never leave abruptly stop talking to you. Opportunities you worked hard for disappear just when you need them most. Life seems to be going out of control, and you begin to wonder if you did something wrong or if Allah is upset with you. However, this isn't a punishment, rather, it's a divine realignment. Allah is not pushing you away. Rather, He is guiding you out of places you were never meant to be. What you perceived as rejection was actually protection, and what you thought was loss was actually a redirection, because sometimes the blessings we seek aren't available until the wrong things are removed. Allah begins to remove those who don't genuinely care about you, delays plans that would have sapped your energy, and closes doors that appear good but would have crushed your soul. And it hurts because you don't see the whole picture yet, but He does. He sees the traps you didn't notice, He hears the conversations behind your back, and He knows the weight of what you are holding. Therefore, He takes it not to break you, but to build you, because sometimes before Allah gives you a palace, He has to destroy the prison you built with your own hands, the prison of false hopes, the prison of wrong attachments, the prison of thinking you knew what was best. Therefore, if your life seems to be falling apart right now, it might be falling into place. And perhaps what you thought was the end is actually the beginning of something much greater than you ever prayed for. Sign 2. You feel incredibly exhausted, but it's not physical. You feel a strange emptiness in your chest. You laugh, but it doesn't reach your heart. You pray, but it feels quiet. It's not sadness or depression, just this deep emptiness, and it scares you. Did I lose something? Or am I growing farther away from Allah? But before Allah gives you something significant, He clears space in your life. Because when your heart is overflowing with everything else, there is no space left for the true blessing. This emptiness you experience is not a punishment, but rather a sacred pause and a moment of preparation. Consider this. Before a cup is filled with clean water, it must be emptied of the old. Before a tree bears fruit, it must lose its leaves. Before the sun rises, the world is at its darkest. And that is precisely what's happening. You're being emptied so that you'll be ready for the gift when it arrives, so that your heart won't be too preoccupied to receive it. Allah is aware that you've been patient, that you've cried quietly at night, that you've tried to remain strong when no one else could see your pain, and that He's now creating the ideal space inside of you for what's coming next. Therefore, if you're feeling empty right now, don't panic. Don't think that something is amiss. Rather, it means that something beautiful is close, because Allah doesn't put anything valuable into an unprepared heart. Sign 3. You start losing friends, support, and noise. At first, you think it's just During this phase, people stop checking in, conversations stop, group chats become quiet, and one by one, the people you thought would always be there start to fade. Some of them leave quietly, while others leave with drama. But in any case, you're left alone, and you start to wonder, what did I do wrong? Why is everyone disappearing right when I need support the most? But most people are unaware of this. Not everyone was meant to rise with you. Some friendships were only meant to teach you a lesson and not walk the entire journey with you. Some people were just a chapter, not the entire book. And when Allah sees that you've outgrown a relationship, He removes it Himself. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's confusing. But before Allah gives you something big, He removes those who can't handle what's coming. But sometimes the people you missed the most were actually the ones holding you back the most, not because they were bad, but because their presence was too loud for you to hear your own development. So He clears the room, silences the noise, and eliminates the distractions, because your next chapter demands focus and requires you to walk alone in order to find the strength you forgot you had. This allows you to reconnect with the one who never leaves Allah, because sometimes the loneliness you fear is actually the protection you needed. The silence is sacred, the disconnection is divine, and the people who left didn't break you, they freed you. Sign 4. You keep seeing repeating numbers, words, or themes on your phone. You're scrolling through it when a verse about patience appears. You're being prepared because the blessing that's coming is so big, heavy, and sacred that it needs space, silence, and a stronger, quieter, deeper version of you. The same verse is mentioned in a random lecture later that evening. You weren't looking for it, but it keeps coming up in conversation. Or perhaps you keep seeing the same number. Every time you look at the clock, it's 11:11. Every number plate, every receipt, and every random corner of life repeats the same symbols. Something inside of you says, this isn't random. Because Allah speaks to the heart in quiet, gentle ways. Repetition is one of those methods. When you see the same word, the same quote, the same theme, it's not a coincidence. It's a message, but not everyone will understand it because divine signs are whispered rather than shouted, and only those who are listening will hear them. Allah is gently guiding you, and instead of using thunder or earthquakes, He uses familiarity. He knows what will make you pause, what will make your soul lean, and what will catch your heart. He knows what will make you pause, what will make you think, and what will make you feel compelled to pay attention. This is His way of saying, look closer. I'm showing you something because when your life is about to change, something significant is being prepared for you, and Allah begins waking you up through your surroundings. It could be a phrase that haunts you, a surah that follows you, a word that keeps echoing, and it gives you the impression that the universe is trying to tell you something. But it's actually your Lord who created every atom and every moment. Sometimes the signs aren't just in what you see. They're also in how they make your heart react, a chill down your spine, unexplained tears, a sense of profound calm in the midst of a storm. That's how Allah lets you know you're not insane. You're being led. Call them merely coincidences, because if something keeps happening in your life and it stirs something inside of you that's not random, that's a divine thread guiding you towards your destiny. Follow it because it might be guiding you directly to the blessing your soul has been waiting for. Sign 5. You encounter inexplicable delays. You did everything correctly. You prayed. You planned. You stayed patient. You waited your turn. Still nothing. You were certain this was when everything seemed perfect, the job was lined up, the person felt right, the opportunity finally came, and then suddenly it slipped through your fingers, leaving you to stare at the silence and wonder why Allah would bring you this far just to stop you now. However, what if He is actually protecting you? Delays are some of the hardest signs to accept because they occur when your heart is full of hope, and when that hope is halted, it doesn't just hurt. It shakes your faith and you begin to question everything. Perhaps I'm not good enough, perhaps I made a mistake, or perhaps this dua wasn't meant to be answered. Hidden wisdom. Allah is aware of your future. The hidden storms that lie behind what you perceive to be a blessing, the conversations you were not meant to hear, the weight of what you are requesting and whether it will lift or crush you. Sometimes Allah delays you not to deny you, but to help you grow, because what you are requesting entails responsibilities that your current self is unable to handle. He wants the person receiving it to become stronger, wiser, more appreciative, and closer to Him, because if He gives it to you too soon, you might misuse it, lose it, or worse, draw away from Him. For this reason, He delays not to punish, but to perfect the timing, because Allah's timing is always beautiful, always calculated, and always full of mercy. Sometimes He delays what you want in order to give you what you need, which could be clarity or peace, protection or development. So if your life feels stuck right now, if the doors just won't open, if everything you planned keeps getting delayed, it's okay. You're not forgetting, you're not failing, you're not being left behind. You're just getting ready for something so good that if it came right now, you wouldn't believe it was for you. But it is, and it's on its way, just not yet. Allah doesn't just give gifts. He gives them at the ideal time, when your heart is truly ready to receive them. There's no dramatic event, no crisis, no breakdown, but your soul begins to whisper, I don't want to live like. When people ask you what's wrong, you don't have an answer because nothing is wrong. All of a sudden, the things you used to love, the routines, the people, and the distractions don't feel the same. You're not interested in gossip. You start feeling guilty about music that used to play repeatedly. You crave silence. You crave purpose. You want to clear your room. You want to purify your heart. You don't know what caused it, but deep down you feel like you're being called to something greater. It doesn't mean you're suddenly perfect. You still slip and struggle, but now you care, and you feel it. Your sins no longer sit comfortably anymore in that discomfort. The unexplained urge to pray again, wear a hijab, lower your gaze. Avoid social media, delete old contacts, and open the Quran is not random. That restlessness in your soul isn't a breakdown. Rather, it's a spiritual awakening because before Allah blesses your life externally, He purifies you inwardly, clears your heart, softens your character, and awakens you. This isn't because you're broken. Rather, it's because you're ready for more. The most beautiful part is that you don't have to understand why it's happening. You just need to answer the call. When your heart begins to distance itself from the previous version of yourself, it's a sign that Allah is preparing to give you something that your old self could never handle. Perhaps you're about to be trusted with a new chapter, a new level, a new peace, a new purpose, and that inner shift, that desire to improve even when no one sees you. The quiet urge to change is not just a feeling. It's Allah preparing you for the blessing you don't even know you're about to receive. Sign 7. You cry more easily. Even without knowing why, you're sitting in your room and suddenly tears start to fall, and you weren't thinking about any. This is one of the clearest signs that something big is coming. So follow that feeling or walking alone when the sky appears beautiful and something inside of you breaks, but you don't know why. You may feel ashamed of it. You wonder why I'm getting so emotional and why I'm crying so much over trivial things. But the truth is that most people don't realize that your tears are a sign that your soul is softening, not weakening, and you're not falling apart. Allah is opening you up by breaking through the walls you didn't even realize you had built. The walls were made of old pain, heavy pressure, disappointment, and silence. And now that they are beginning to crack, the water is coming out in the form of tears. This is His way of cleansing your heart without using words, lectures, or sound, because sometimes when your heart is too tired to speak, Allah lets it cry instead. And those random tears are never random. Sometimes they're your soul saying, I'm tired, but I still believe. Other times, they're your soul saying, I'm healing. Or even, I'm ready for something greater now. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more your soul begins to feel, because a hard heart cannot hold a soft blessing. Beautiful enough that it requires a gentle, awakened soul to receive it. So don't suppress your tears. Don't wipe them away in shame, and don't think that crying indicates weakness. Even the Prophet, peace be upon him, shed tears, and even the greatest beings in history had times when they did so for no other reason than love, longing, or a sense of closeness to Allah. These tears are indicators that you're being drawn closer to yourself. Truth closer to Allah, and sometimes your prayers are not spoken but rather shed in tears, and Allah hears them all. Sign 8. You begin to dream bigger and feel bad about it. You find yourself picturing a better life, a cleaner heart, a stronger version of yourself. You begin to think, what if I memorized the Quran? What if everything was altered and I actually became the person I've always admired? And it feels beautiful for a moment, but then the guilt creeps in you, become that you've sinned too much, you've messed up too many times, you're not good enough. Suddenly, the dream that lifted your heart becomes a burden and you start shrinking again. You silence your own potential, not because you can't do it, but because you feel like you don't deserve to. But listen closely. That dream in your heart didn't come from arrogance. It came from faith. It came from a soul that knows its source. It came from a heart that remembers its creator. Because the moment Allah wants to elevate you, He places a whisper in your soul, a whisper that says, you were made for. You're not finished yet, and you haven't even realized who you truly are. That whisper isn't pride. Rather, it's divine guidance, and the enemy tries to smother it with guilt, shame, and fear. However, you must realize that the desire to improve is a sign of connection rather than pride. You're being drawn to greatness, not because you're already flawless, but rather because you're at last prepared to grow every time you picture yourself. You may feel unworthy, but Allah is not looking for perfection. Rather, He is looking for willing hearts. If your heart keeps striving for better, it is because Allah is calling you forward into something new and sacred. Every time you see yourself standing in front of Allah with a clean heart and finally praying with khushu, That is a sign that you are not lost and that your fitra, your pure inner self, is still alive. Don't shrink, don't sabotage yourself with guilt, and don't say, "I'm not ready." If Allah put that vision in your heart, then it's not just possible. It's part of your destiny. Yes, you will struggle along the way, but that doesn't mean you should stop. It means you should keep going because that dream you're afraid to believe in, that image of a stronger, more disciplined, more faithful you, isn't a fantasy. Rather, it's a preview of the person Allah is about to transform you into, inshallah. Now that you're aware of the emptiness, delays, loneliness, and tears you can't explain, the sudden urge to change the dreams that frighten you because of how big they are. None of it is random. It's not a breakdown. It's not bad luck. It's not a breakdown. It's not a breakdown. It's not a breakdown. It's not a breakdown. It's not a mistake. It's not a breakdown. 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 It's a sign that your life is about to change, and Allah has written a divine message specifically for you. Allah doesn't give big blessings to unprepared hearts, so before He gives them to you, He prepares you through silence, tests, and soul-deep transformation. You've been asking for something, and Allah has been listening, not with delay, but with divine calculation. He's not late, He's not ignoring you, He's working in the unseen. So that when the blessing comes, you're not just prepared, you're thankful, you're strong. You know where and who it came from. Therefore, if you're seeing these signs, don't give up. Don't turn away. Don't shrink yourself back into the past. You are not being tested merely to suffer. You are being transformed for something greater than you ever imagined. And when it arrives, you'll look back on it with gratitude and strength. I now understand why it had to happen this way, because the pain wasn't the end. Rather, it was the preparation, and the signs weren't coincidences. They were promises from the Merciful One, the one who never forgets His servant. Your time is coming. Just keep walking, keep believing, keep becoming, because what's written for you will find you. And when it does, it will be so clear, so beautiful, so perfectly timed, and you'll know exactly who sent it, inshallah.